Saturday morning, everybody. This is Grace, and I am on my usual Saturday morning routine. But what's on my mind is what we used to just simply call people who were conceited. Like I say, I think about every video almost, or say 50% at least, is that we used to use different terms for these things, but these days so many people will just put everything under the title narcissist. Now, it could be that we're just more enlightened these days than we were back then. You know, I'm 52 years old, but I'm more afraid that people are putting everything, piling everything under narcissist, and they're diagnosing, and that's not always a good thing. Like, the first thing you learn in Psych 101, the first class in psychology, is do not think that just because they have the symptoms, therefore they have the disorder. And it's basically do not diagnose. I mean, you're told that from the beginning, do not diagnose. Alright, that got cut off there. But that is one of the things, you know, one of the first really one or two things that we're taught in Psych 101 is do not diagnose. You know, don't think just because they have the symptoms, like I said, therefore they have the disorder, because it can be more than one thing. Plus, you know, the next rule was basically you're not qualified to do so at this point, you know. But of course, you know, people do that because, you know, a lot of it is for survival needs. But I was thinking about this yesterday, is when you diagnose, you know, you say, oh, that person has this, this, and that, and you diagnose them in your mind, and you're not qualified to, but you do, and it could lead to, I'm just, you know, it's my opinion that it could lead to people wanting to diagnose everybody, and they're missing the whole human experience because they say, oh, this person is narcissistic because they do this. And, you know, there's a whole spectrum where they can fall on anyway. But anyway, okay, this has been frustrating. But anyway, but what I was thinking about was people that we were just, so to get to this, were considered conceited. Okay, and conceited in the, you know, usually meant when I was young and, you know, going to school, it meant somebody who basically it was more about appearance, but as I got older, it was more about people who think their lives are more important than everybody else's. You know, their experiences in their lives, you know, like, you know, what they do was always better than what everybody else, and it was more important to be shared, you know, for them to be able to tell you what they've done in their lives. And it was also better than what anybody else could do. That was, as I got older, that's what it became more of, instead of just how much money they have or what kind of home they live in, although that can play into it too, and what clothes they wear, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm starting off with kind of mild examples of stuff that happened in my life, because I don't want to re-traumatize myself with the bigger ones right now, and I don't know that I would, but, you know, you never know. But anyway, some of the, you know, smaller ones, I guess, you know, milder ones, was about these people who were conceited, such as when I was, I don't know, I think I was 33, a woman had called me and she was complaining about another woman named Lori, and I knew both of them, you know, really well. And she said that anytime she calls Lori would just sit there and talk all about her life, and then she'd say, oh, and then it was her turn to say something, and Lori would say, oh, I gotta go, I'm real busy. Well, I had to laugh in my mind. I laughed in my mind because that's exactly what this other woman did. Not Lori, but both of them did it. You know? And the next time, and then she did it in that phone conversation. That exact when after she finished telling me all her troubles with Lori, she said she had to go, and I didn't get a chance to speak. Well, the next time she called, I let her know. I said, do you realize what you said about Lori is exactly what you do and exactly what you did in that conversation? Well, after that, she never, ever, ever did that again to me. Never. Now, when so many people get so wrapped up in saying somebody is a narcissist, as if they're all malignant narcissists, you know, if you file everything under narcissism, you don't feel like these people can ever change. You know, and that's not true. Not all narcissists are incapable of changing or developing. So that's another concern. But, you know, I could say this woman was a narcissist because she, you know, both of them, Lori and the other one, because they both thought that you know, everybody should listen to their stories, you know. But no, that woman changed. mean, she didn't do that to me again. So I'm hoping that people don't say, oh, therefore, they're narcissists, therefore, that's it. That's not going to change. That's up to a professional. Okay, so that was when I was 33, I believe. Then, after that, I wound up moving to California, from Texas to California, came back, and when I came back, I was around 35. Or I was 35. Yeah. And so I came back, and I started back in the graduate school, to earn my master's and work on a PhD concurrently. Then I was working a part-time temporary job. It was a temporary one. And while working there, guess what happened? I mean, right off the bat, I worked with 2 women in a small office, and we had a manager. She was hardly ever there. And the 2 women I worked with in the office, and we were the only 2 there, one was a little bit older and the other one was a little bit younger. Well, every day that we came into work in the morning, whether it was for the weekend or what, they would tell their what happened, what they did. Like if it was over the weekend, they'd talk about, what they did the whole weekend. If it was just the night before, they just talk about that. When they did it kind of like in an order, it was just 2 women. And then after they finished, telling it was 3 of us, they would ask me, well, how was your weekend or night or whatever? And I would start to say, and they say, oh, we better get back to work, the boss will be in here in any moment. And it was consistently, that they did this. And it, of course I caught on fairly quickly that they were never going to let me say anything about what I do. They were just not going to. And so it wasn't as though, you see the rain, it wasn't as though they were judging me, making a judgment call, saying, in the sense that they knew what I did after work, because they didn't. So they couldn't be thinking, oh my, we don't want to hear her stories because they're going to be boring. Of course, they could be saying, could have been saying that by their own, assumptions. Of course, it could have been their assumptions. But really, it was, and I would look at that back then when I was, a little more naive to all this stuff. I would look at it, if somebody did that to me, and this can go on from there. If they did this to me, I would look at it and say to myself, that here is somebody that's making the judgment call on what my life would be like. They're looking at me and saying, oh, her life must be dull. But it's not that, is it? Those of us who've gotten a little older or a little more advanced in this thing, we know. Okay, where did I leave off? But anyway, these 2 women, they did that consistently, and it was a temporary job, so that was when I was 35. But one thing, it made me, once again, I was never blind to this, that women, it was always women, did this to me. But it really it was the final straw. Let's just say it was the final straw. And I said, told myself I would never, ever let any woman, like I said, it was always women, never let any of them ever treat me like that again. And no matter how angry they would get, I was not going to allow it. Some way, somehow, if it's, my first would be just to flat out say, I'm not going to sit here and listen to everything about you and your life and you not do the same for me. Whatever it is, tell them, this is how your behavior, whatever. Or just be like them and show them, some people learn from, when you show them exactly what they do to other people. Now remember, this isn't counseling or advice, it's just my opinion, because you could run across somebody who's dangerous or something, and one size doesn't fit all anyway. What might happen in my life if I do this or that, and worked out, might not in yours, But anyway, so that job, I said, no more, never again am I going to allow any women. And believe me, the one that I had already told, when I was 33, and that time it was 35. So before then, I told, this is what you do. She changed. She stopped doing that. She saw the light. She was complaining about Lori, and she was, you spot it, you got it kind of thing. And so she was one, but I do remember, at first, a few times, it was difficult for her because she was used to just throwing down all her junk, on me, and what bad happened to her, and then just saying, I gotta go. So it's tough for people to change, but they do change. People can change. Never forget that, yeah, they can change. Of course, you hear that malignant narcissists or sociopaths aren't going to change, but is it true? Now, I don't want to be giving anybody any false hope, that they're going to think, oh, well, she said this, because like I said, this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong. But I'm not trying to give anybody any false hope that their narcissist in their life or their sociopath or whatever is going to change. That's up to a professional. And that's what's, if you're in danger, if I was in danger, I'm not going to say you, but I'm going to say me. If I were in danger and I had to make a judgment call on somebody, they this or they that, and I'm in danger, I'm going to get the heck out of Dodge, And if it's somebody, I have to put in my mind, this person is a danger, malignant narcissist, and is a danger, and they're never going to change or whatever. Yeah, but it's, diagnosing people just, I don't know, how am I saying this right? Maybe what I'm saying is, getting in the habit of just diagnosing people. We do that for survival reasons. We do, but you can get to this point where everybody has some serious personality disorder or, some kind of psychological, mental, whatever, because, there's more than just mental and personality disorders and all that. There are a lot of kinds of disorders, but, that's what I'm saying. It could be one of another, or even just a medical condition. Anyway, when you get in that mode of diagnosing everybody, beyond just survival, but just diagnosing people, it can get bad, I think. I think that it can get to where you're kind of paranoid, everybody's got something, and but the thing about it is, everybody does in a mild sense. There's a spectrum, there's a criteria they have to meet, and the degree to which kind of thing is the way we were taught. But like I said, at the same time, if something happens, I met somebody and all my warning bells went off, warning signals, flashing red lights and everything, I'd get the heck out of Dodge. I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh, I can't, diagnose, No, that's for survival mode. It says, get away, don't walk, run, that kind of thing. Remember, this is my opinion. But I'm, like I'm saying, anyway, these people, that kind of sums it up. I better get out there and get in the store and come back. But when people, they think their lives, the conceited people, when they really think that their lives are most important, to be told, to be shared, you've got to sit there and listen to me, and and some of the part does, they think that their lives are better because it's often because of money. They think, oh, I have more money, therefore I have better this. I wasn't finished. The reason it's on my mind, I should mention that from the start, but was because, as I mentioned, we had a big family. I don't know what you would call it. Let's say trauma. I don't know. The situation, okay? And I had to kind of loosen up on my no contact rule. And it's mainly because I would never do that to somebody. I would never forgive myself if something had gotten worse and I'd done that. It was more for my own, not really, I'm not so much on my own, but for my own conscience, for my own self, I'm not going to change everything about who I am. I don't think that's healthy. But anyway, one of them called yesterday, and that's where I'm getting. Now, I've certainly spoken to her during all this, but yesterday, I think it was like when people are on their best dating behavior, when you're dating. Yeah, because at first she wasn't doing the thing of, calls you on the phone and all they want to talk about is their life and what their opinions and their views and what they've experienced and all that, and then they say they don't have time, and you can't get a word in edgewise because they're just talking, and you're not rude, you don't interrupt. And yes, you can know ways to, kind of insert a little opinion there, but these are people who are skilled at the opposite. They are skilled in not letting you say a word. They will not pause. They will just keep talking, as we say, talking over you, kind of thing. And she did that. And it just hit me, and it reminded me of I have been away from that for so long, and I have learned skills myself of, even so, I'm going to get my words in, I'm going to. But it just reminded me of that, and it was like, these things can be exhausting if you spend so much of your life just trying to be free from people who are this way, So there's more to this. Anyway, but I'm going to end this now, and this one, and I'll talk about some of this in another video. Talk to y'all later. Bye.